Hey guys, welcome back to this next episode. So today, as you can tell by the title, we are talking about um, divination and what it is, what it is not, why to do it, why not to do it, etc., etc. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of hopefully this lighting comes out well. I was trying to do the video outside, and then I was trying to do it inside, and there were too many disturbances, so I had to just come up here and do it in my bedroom. But anyway, so divination, what is it? Right? So obviously, if you're like myself and you grew up in a Christian household, I specifically grew up in a Jehovah's Witness household, and I was given a lot of negative impressions about divination and what it is and all of that. And so, for me growing up, we did a lot of reading of the Bible, and of course, in the Bible, there's several passages that talk about divination in a negative light. And it says to basically not visit anyone who does divination, not to consult divination, etc., etc. So, what is it really? What is divination really? So, as always, before I answer that question, I have to again state that these are all my opinions, my beliefs, my understandings based off of my journey and my experiences. So, other people may disagree, whatever, that's fine. But these are just my insights. Okay. So, divination, in my view, is a way in which humans can communicate with and get guidance from the spiritual realm. Okay. That's it in a nutshell. If you want to be a little bit more specific from the Ifa tradition, divination is a way that humans can communicate and get guidance from the spiritual realm, specifically in helping us to stay on track with our destiny while we are here in this life. Okay. So that really is what divination is. There are many, many different types of divination systems. There's not just one. So you've got, like, I've got some of mine here that, you got tarot cards is a form of divination. You've got crystal ball, and you have the runes. So if you guys are not familiar with the runes are a divination system of the ancient Norse people. So they kind of look like this. There's different people make them out of different materials. Oh, that's the blank one. Um, but yeah, they come with different materials that they're made out of, and they have each one has the symbol on it. So that's from the ancient Norse pantheon. And you've also got Obi, which is a system that we use in the Orisha tradition. So Obi, sometimes you'll see people do it with cowrie shells. There's 4 cowrie shells that they'll do it with, or coconut, put it on the coconut shell, etc., etc. Um, and then beyond that, you have things like water scrying, smoke scrying, fire scrying. Ifa itself is a divination system. Um, on and on and on. You got probably, I wouldn't be surprised if you had thousands of different types of divination systems, but they all are aimed at pretty much the same thing, which is allowing humans, us, to come to the spiritual realm and get insight, get guidance into our lives, into our path, to help us stay on track with where we're supposed to be in this life. Okay. So that's what it is. Okay. Um, what is divination not? I got some notes that I wrote down when I was trying to think of what I was going to say. What divination is not? It is not spookism. It is not spooky. It is not scary. It is not meant to be sensational. It's not any of those things. It's actually, when you are used to it, it's actually quite, it's not mundane, but it's not sensational. It's not like what you see on TV. It's not sensationalism. It's not spookism. It's not scary. There's not going to be demons coming out of the walls or anything crazy like that when you go get divination. Okay. Divination is not demonic, meaning to have to do with demons. It is not communication with the devil or his demons. Um, the one caveat that I would throw in there is if you are someone who practices demonolatry or Satanism or something like that, then maybe when you use divination, you are communicating with demons and devils and whatever. But that would be specific to people who follow those traditions. But if you are not in that, that's not like, generally speaking, divination is not about communication with demons. It's not demonic. It's not, again, it's not spookism. It's not scary. Um, so it's not anything like that. Divination is not fear mongering. You should not, divination is not meant to terrify you. It's not meant to scare you. If you're going to someone and you're getting a divination from them and they are just telling you a whole bunch of scary stuff, chances are, I guess, like, if you are really in that bad a situation, then I guess okay. But 99% of the time, like, you should not be hearing scary things, right? And you're not always going to hear what you want to hear, but you should not be going to someone and they're just trying to terrify you and scare you. If someone's and especially if you are going to this person over and over and over, and every time you go to them, they are saying something scary, they're saying something to terrify you, they're probably not legitimate, and they're probably trying to scare you into spending more money, because they're probably going to say, hey, this scary thing is going to happen, and magically they will have the remedy for that. And yeah, so just keep that in mind. So it's not about fear mongering. It's not, they should not be there to scare you. um, Divination is not necromancy. Okay, necromancy is a very specific thing. Divination is not necromancy. So I'm not sure, because I don't do anything with necromancy. I'm not really sure if necromancers use divination in their work. I would venture to say that they probably do, but I don't know. But divination itself is not necromancy. Um, and divination, another thing that divination is not, it is not, and we'll kind of get into this a little bit later, but it's not a way for you to validate poor behavior or poor character. It's not. It's not a way for you to just kind of do what you want and then try to go and hear from the spirits that you can just basically, you're good to go, yay. Like, no, that's not what it is. Um, Divination, another thing that I would say divination is, and this is my own metaphor, if you will, but divination to me is almost like a telephone. Like, that might be a pretty crude example, but it's kind of like picking up the phone in a way, or maybe like a text message, right? Maybe not a phone call, because you're not like gonna get to like literally like speak to someone, but it's like a text message or like a voicemail or whatever. Like, you can send, like, pray. You give it, the person would do prayers and whatever to kind of get the spirit to come and communicate through this, and then these messages are being relayed. So I don't know. That may not be a good example, but that's that's just kind of how I put it in my mind, right? So that's a little bit about what divination is, what divination is not. Okay. Um, so yeah, so hopefully that all made sense. So then the question is, okay, so now we know what it is, now we know what it's not. What are some good reasons to seek divination, and what are some reasons why you should not seek divination? So I'm actually going to start with some reasons why you should not seek divination. And none of these things that I'm saying are comprehensive. Like, I'm giving an overview, of course. So there's a lot more to consider, and a lot more things that people might be able to say. But I'm just kind of hitting a few bullets, to kind of give an overview. So one of the reasons why you should not seek divination is to try to control other people, right? You should not seek divination as a way to control other people, as a way to find out what someone else has going on in their destiny or in their life, etc., etc. Right? Divination should not be used that way. Are there people that use it that way? Yes. Should they be doing that? No. Because it's about helping you, again, like I said before when I was talking about what divination is. It's a way of helping you to get guidance from the spiritual realms in order to keep yourself on track with your destiny. So if you are using divination for its intended purpose, then you shouldn't be going to find out how you can get control over someone else, right? This is just not what you should be doing. Another reason that you should not seek divination is because you want to, like I said earlier, validate your behavior or just hear what you want to hear, basically. So there's a lot of people that go to get divination and then they get either upset because or they feel that they were, they get upset, they feel like they're being lied to, whatever, and it's because they're going in with the mindset that they want to hear what they want to hear, right? You have to understand that with divination and going to, consult with a diviner, that divination really doesn't care, and the spirits don't really care about your feelings, in my experience, right? They're not there to make you feel good. They're not there to tickle your ears with fancy words. They're not there to just tell you how great you are and how much of a blessing you are to the rest of humanity, right? Like that's not, they don't care about that, in my opinion and in my experience. Now, that doesn't mean that they want to hurt you. It doesn't mean that they want to um, make you feel low. It doesn't mean that they want to make you feel less than worthy or anything like that, but they also don't care about you feeling good because they are going to tell you the truth. And a legitimate diviner will tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind when you go get divination. So I would say are not, if you're in a place where you feel like you're not willing to hear the truth, if you're not uh, willing to accept the truth, if you're not willing to be guided, you shouldn't even go, right? Because you're going to go and you're going to have this mindset that you are just the greatest thing since sliced bread or that nothing's wrong with you. And you're probably going to get your feelings hurt because they're going to tell you some things that you don't want to hear. They're going to bring out some things that you need to work on. Um, and of course, like a legitimate person should do it with respect and treat you with dignity, etc., and things like that. But it's not about you hearing what you want to hear, and I've seen so many people who have gone to get divination with whatever system of divination they were using, and you know, people go in and they come out crying, and they're not coming out crying because they were attacked or because they were treated brutally or disrespectfully. They're coming out crying because the spirits through the divination session have touched on some things that really hit home to them. You know, some things that may have been things that they were suppressing, and the divination may have brought it out. Things like that. So you're gonna, when you go in there, now sometimes you may go in there and you may hear what you want to hear, and if you, my viewpoint is that if you go into a divination system and it says all positive things, and it's telling you like everything that it's saying is something that you are happy to hear, that to me just means a, and this is just my own personal opinion, I would say kind of take that with a little grain of salt because I feel like there's always something that we can be working on, always something that we can be improving on in our lives. So if you're going and you're always getting positive messages, I mean, maybe your life is that positive, but I would venture to say that you maybe need to check, to see the validity of the person that you are getting these sessions from, because there's always something. Like nobody's perfect, so there's always something that you could be improving on. So it's not necessarily that you shouldn't hear, something positive, but they should be telling you something that you can improve on or work on or do better so that you can continue along. So that's just my personal thing. But um, what else was I going to say? Oh, so first of all, like I said, that, but also if you are hearing things that are positive, that can be a great thing, and you may be in a positive space. You may be in line with your destiny, and that's simply what that means. It means that you are in line with your destiny. It means that you are on track with where you need to be in your life right now. It means that you're putting forth the right efforts, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not that every time you go get a divination session, you should hear something devastating or some type of criticism or something like that. That's not what I'm saying. But, you know, so just keep those, hopefully that makes sense. So just keep those things in mind. So yeah, so another reason why you should not seek divination is to avoid responsibility. You should not be going to get the divination so that you can blame it on the spirits. So you can say, "Oh, I did this thing, and if it doesn't work out, I can blame it on them because they told me to do it." Right? You should not be using it that way. You should not, one thing that the tradition of Ifa specifically, and I feel many, you know, pagan traditions and traditions that deal with divination and things like that, um, are about building character, right? We talked earlier in another one of the videos, I think we talked about, the concept of Iwa Pele and building good character, right? So as a part of good character is the ability to accept responsibility for your actions, your beliefs, what you have manifested in your own life. So you should not be going to get divination as a way of avoiding that responsibility. Whether that you're trying to avoid it through trying to again get validation for your behavior that may not have been so great, or trying to validate it through having someone to blame, having being the spirits in that case, having the spirits or the diviner to blame if something goes wrong, if things don't go according to your plans or your best wishes, et cetera, et cetera. So and again, when you go into divination, if you're going in trying to avoid responsibility in some way, you're probably going to get your feelings hurt because again, they're going to tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And the truth is that in most situations that we find ourselves in life, we have some sort of responsibility in that situation, right? So that would be that point basically, not trying to avoid responsibility. And even I would go so far as to say with the topic of responsibility is like if you haven't sat down with yourself and used your own brain power and used your own conscience and used your own ori, if you know that term within the Ifa tradition, if you haven't done these things and looked at where you may have gone wrong, then you probably shouldn't go get the session yet. You probably should have sat down with yourself and been like, hey, like how have I contributed to my problem, right? Or my situation that I'm presenting, right? Um, so yeah. So just don't try to avoid responsibility with it, basically. Another reason why you should not do divination is because you think it's cool, or it's something fun to do. Divination is a sacred spiritual activity. You know, again, when you go to seek divination, you are communicating with the spiritual realm in that moment. So it's not a toy. It's not a game. It's not um, it's not a fun activity. It's not. That's not the intention of it. You know, it's a sacred moment. It's a moment of communication with the spiritual realm. It's a moment of you getting. It's a serious moment. And when I say serious, I don't mean like just so somber and you just have to sit there and just be like, oh, so holy in this moment. No, but it's not. Basically, it's not something to be taken lightly. It's not something that is a game or to be played with, right? And I'll get into some of the reasons why that is. Some more reasons why that is a little bit in a little bit. Um, But yeah, so and another reason, last reason I'm going to give not to seek divination is because you want to see the future. The future is not really for us to see. Okay. Yes, there are some people who have clairvoyance or things like that who are able to see a little bit into the future at times when spirit gives them that message. Yes, sometimes divination can come out and tell you some things that may come up in the future. But with divination, say you go to get a divination, and okay, I'll give you an example from my life. I once years ago went and sought divination, and in that divination session, the divination came out and told me to. I'm trying to think of exactly how they put it, but basically it came out and told me not to become involved, to be wary of becoming involved with someone who was already involved with someone else, right? So basically, don't be a side piece. If you meet somebody, they already have somebody. Don't be careful with that, right? So at the time when I got the divination session, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking, right? When the priestess told me this information, I was like, I don't know what she's really talking about. I'm not really talking to anybody right now. I don't have any, whatever. So probably like a week or two later, I met somebody and wasn't even thinking when I met them, I wasn't even thinking about that divination session. It was like a week or two before. And so we were talking, talking whatever. And then, I get this, we're talking and then they're like, I just gotta let you know I'm involved with someone else. And I was like, oh, well, that's what she was talking about, you know. So it can, so divination may do things like that. It may kind of foretell a little bit, like, okay, this is the energy going on. And so you have to kind of be wary of this thing. But the thing to keep in mind is that we always have free will choice, right? So you can at, sit down to get a divination session and the diviner can tell you whatever they tell you. And then you can get up and make choices that can take you in a completely different direction of what they were just talking about, right? Um, and so that kind of comes back to responsibility as well. You have to take responsibility for your choices, take responsibility for your actions, because you have free will. There is no divination that you will sit down at and you not have free will to make choices. Like this divination that you get is just information for you that you can make a choice as to whether you want to listen to that information or not, right? And your future, ultimately, it doesn't matter what divination says, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. At the end of the day, ultimately, our future is a culmination of what we are doing, what choices we're making today, right? So the choices that I make over the next 5 years are what's going to culminate in my future 5 years from now. So the divination system is there to help me make the right choices so I can end up somewhere in 5 years that I want to be. Right. So when you go sit down at a divination, even if it does say something about the future, it's really basically saying if you stay on the course that you're on now and you continue doing the things that you're doing now and you continue the lifestyle that you have now, then this is kind of where that's leading. Again, you have free will, you have choice, always, 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 always. So when you get up from that session, you can decide I'm going to make a different choice, and that's going to take you down this road where the divination just said down that road. So always, always, always keep your responsibility in that sense as well. And so coming back to the main point of not seeking divination to see the future, because your future is in your hands at the end of the day. It's not in the hands of, I mean, yes, it is in the hands of God, like you have whatever, but your choices, your lifestyle, the things that you do, that's what ultimately culminates in your future, you know. And even if, like I said, if the divination does show something about the future, that future is not written in stone. You know, that divination or that future that the divination showed is not written in stone, right? So that's also one of the reasons I would say not to seek divination, right? Seeking divination, like if you want to get a glimpse into what the impact of something may have that's going on may have in your future or something like that, that's one thing. But if you're just trying to be like, oh, diviner, just tell me what my future holds, like, because they can tell you the greatest thing. It doesn't even have to be something bad. They can tell you the greatest thing. They can tell you you're gonna, you're destined for wealth. But guess what? You can get up and make some choices that don't allow that wealth to manifest. You know, so it's not written in stone, basically. So yeah. Okay, so let's talk about. So those are some reasons why, in my opinion, you should not seek divination. So let's talk about some reasons why you should seek divination. Okay. So one of the good reasons to seek divination is if you are at a point in your life, a place in your life where you feel lost, you feel stuck, or you feel confused, right? If you're in a situation where, excuse me, if you're in a situation where you feel like, you've tried everything that you know how to try, you've done the research that you needed to do, you've tried different approaches, nothing's working, you keep bumping up against, against a brick wall, situations like that, or you have choices or situations or whatever that is just, you can't think clearly, you can't make a decision, you're just confused, you're lost, right? That's a great reason, in my opinion, to go get divination. Because again, divination is about helping you to stay on track with your destiny. It's about helping you get advice from the spiritual realm on what you need to do in your life. So if you're in that place where you don't know what to do, like legitimately don't know what to do, you've tried everything that you know how to try, then that's a great time to go ahead and get, to seek divination so that you can get guidance from your spiritual court on what it is that you need to do next. They can help you find ways of removing those roadblocks. They can help you find ways of, you know, overcoming those obstacles. And maybe that needs to be through a behavioral change on your part. Maybe that means that you need to avoid something or do something or whatever it may be. It could be any number of million reasons what they would tell you that you would need to do. But they can give you that guidance. So if you are in that place, that's a great time to go ahead and do that. To go ahead and seek divination. Um, and with that, on that note, I want to kind of take a step back for just a moment and go back to when I was talking about what divination is. And I want to throw one more thing in there. Divination is a tool that God and the spirits have given us, right? It's a tool. It's not a crutch. It's a tool to be used that has been given to us by God and by the spirits to help guide us. So I want to throw that piece. Like I already said, the piece of, it's there to help us stay on track with our destiny. It's blah 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 blah. But I want to make it clear that divination is something that has been given to us by God, by our, the spirits. If you're in or Ifa, the Orisha, they have given us these tools of divination to use so that we can consult them and we can find solutions to our problems. So I want to throw that piece in there and then come back to now what we're talking about of reasons why get divination and talking about the lost, confused, stuck, whatever. That divination has been given to us for moments like that. Like usually 99% of the time, people are not seeking divination because everything in their life is great. If everything in your life is great, if you're feeling good, you're healthy, your family's healthy, everybody's got the money they need, the relationship is going well, everybody's happy, right? Those are not the times that people are usually seeking divination. People are usually seeking divination when they're lost, when they're stuck, when they're confused, when they just don't know what they don't know. You know, that's usually the times that people are going to seek divination, right? So because that is ultimately what it has been given to us for, to help us when we are lost, when we are off track with our destiny, to help us get back on track, to help us find our way, right? So that's a great reason why I seek divination. Another reason kind of basically goes with that is to see how on track you are with your destiny, right? To make sure that, if you have a situation, that's going on, to see how that may be impacting your destiny or see how that may be a manifestation of your destiny, or to see, Are you off track with your destiny, etc., etc.? That would be another good reason to seek divination. Another good reason to seek divination is to find out, excuse me, if something is the best course of action, right? So an example of that would be, say you have two job offers, right? And they're both really good job offers. They seem good, good pay, good hours, good whatever you're looking for, right? So you don't really know, you know, which one you should go with. That would be a great time to go to divination and seek guidance to find out, okay, of these two options, I have two good options here. Which option would be the best for me to take? You know, Ask about the one option and see, how is that option going to play out for me? How is that option going to impact my future? You know, Ask about the other option. So you can do that. It's there. That's another good reason to seek divination. Because even though you have those two good options on the surface, you may get the divination, and one of those options, the divination may reveal, is not a good option for you, because maybe down the line, it may, whatever it reveals, that may not end the way you thought it would. So it may look like they are both good options on the surface, but they may not. One of them may not be as good as it looks, right? Um, so that's just one example of how you can kind of find out, is this the best course of action. You know, um, you can do that with relationships, to see if this relationship is going to turn out well. Um, School, if you're trying to debate what you want to go to school for, or if you're deciding which college to go to, or anything like that, that would be another good thing, where it's like, okay, here are my options for schools. Which one of these is the best option? Which is this? Or if you want to go to a particular school, is this school the best school for me to go to? That's good. Those are just some examples of, that's a good reason to seek divination, to find out if whatever you're about to do, or whatever your options are, which one is the best course of action for you. Um, Another good reason to seek divination, if you have a situation going on, is to find out what your contribution was. Again, going back to the conversation about responsibility. In every situation that we find ourselves in life, we have contributed to that problem in some way. Even if, like, you may not be the main one at fault, but you still have contributed in some way. Even if your contribution was turning a blind eye, even if your contribution was letting it slide, even if your contribution was not speaking up for yourself, not standing up for yourself, right? Those are still contributions to an issue, right? So if you have a situation going on, or a problem, that's a great thing to go to divination. Maybe you're not able to objectively see how you're contributing. You may be too much in your emotions. You may be too much in your feelings. And so it'd be a good thing to go ahead and seek divination, to see what you can do, what you can change about your mindset, or about your behavior, or about your lifestyle, to improve your situation that you have at hand. Right? So that's another good reason to seek divination, to find out where you have contributed to your problem, and what you can do on your end because you can't control anyone else, but what you can do on your end to improve that situation, or to make that situation more amicable for you and the other people involved. Right? Um, Let me see here. And another good thing, one more thing to seek divination about, is to find out what you need to work on. You know, when you go and seek divination, you know, we all have growth opportunities. So when we go and seek divination, you can seek divination to kind of find out from the spirits where you really need to be focusing your energies, where you need to be focusing on growth, right? Because you may have two problems, right? Two issues about you, two character flaws, or whatever it may be, and but you can't work on both things at the same time. So you can go and seek divination to find out, okay, what is, of all my opportunities for growth as a person, where should I be focusing my energies right now? How can I, what can I focus my energies on right now and improve right now at this time in my life and at this space on this fork in the road in my destiny journey, um, to improve on. So that's another good reason to seek divination. Um, so yeah, so that's basically the breakdown, with divination. Again, like I said, all the examples that I've given and the points that I've given, this is just an overview. This is not by any means a comprehensive list. There's a whole lot of other good reasons to seek divination. There's a whole lot of other bad reasons to seek divination. Um, and there's probably a whole lot more that could be said about what divination is, how it works, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the main points to understand is that, divination it's not spookism, it's not scary, it's not demonic. Um, it is about helping you to get guidance from the spiritual realm in your life, akin to how someone may go to their pastor, right? So that when you go to church, if you're a Christian and you go to church and you go to your pastor and you say, "Hey, pastor, I have this issue," right? What is the pastor going to do? He's going to go into the Bible and he's going to find a scripture that he feels like applies to your situation, and he's going to give you advice based on that scripture. That's He's giving you what he understands to be spiritual guidance, right? To help you get you on track with your life and where you need to be and what you need to be doing, how you need to handle a situation. And so divination is, to me, a much more comprehensive way of doing that, right? A much more individual way. So when you go get divination, you're not getting a generic scripture that can be applied to anybody. You're getting specific to you and your destiny, what is necessary for you to know and to do in this moment, right? So that is what that's kind of so divination is akin to that same thing of, oh, I need advice, I need spiritual advice, I need spiritual guidance, I need God to speak into my life and let me know what to do. Same kind of concept, basically. Even though it, of course, works two very different ways, but same basic concept of seeking spiritual guidance, right? But like I said, divination is going to be a much more comprehensive, much more unique and individual to you and your path, what comes out in that, as opposed to just a generic scripture. Um, so yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, something to be aware of, especially if you are new to divination, whatever kind of divination system you're using. Something to be aware of is that if you've noticed through this video, I have constantly made mention of the spiritual realm, God, right? So you have to understand that all of these all of these divination systems have spirits attached to them, right? Like spirits that are traditionally move through them, right? And speak through them. So if you have these runes, I don't know if you can see these, sorry, but if you have these runes, right? Like these runes are like they're a spiritual tool. So they have spirits connected to them. Odin, the Norse god Odin, is the owner of the runes. He's the one that hung upside down, I think, 9 days on Yggdrasil, the world tree, to receive the knowledge, and gave up his eye to receive the knowledge of the runes and to give that knowledge, right? So if you're going to work with the divination system, you have to keep in mind that there are spirits attached. Like you don't just go to Barnes and Noble or Amazon or wherever and get some tarot cards and just start shuffling and pulling cards, right? Like don't do that. Because if you don't know what you're doing, if you haven't been trained, if you haven't practiced, if you haven't studied, like, did you even clean them? Right? Like, you just get some cards off the shelf at Barnes and Noble and you just start pulling cards. Like, did you cleanse them? You know, did you pray before you did that? You know, because if you don't pray and ask, for guidance, like, you don't know where that guidance is coming from. There are trickster spirits out there. There are spirits that don't mean you well out there. So to just pick up a divination system and to just start playing with it, you know, to not treat it as a sacred activity, you know, you don't know what spirits are attached to that, what spirits are going to speak to you through that. So, if you want to learn divination, then go find somebody who can really teach you whatever divination system that you want to learn, right? I'll give you an example. The runes. I went to the store, Barnes and Noble, and I saw, or no, it wasn't Barnes and Noble. It was some spiritual store. It wasn't Barnes and Noble. Some spiritual store where they had runes for sale, and I purchased the runes. And fortunately for me, I purchased them at a point that I know to get guidance. So I cleansed them, right? And I prayed, and I prayed to Odin, right? I cleansed them and everything, and I went out and at night, and I prayed to Odin for guidance, right? And because the runes have always called to me, they've always been had a very powerful pull for me, and I wanted to start using them. And so I prayed to Odin. I just prayed to him to give me guidance, to help me to learn the proper way of using them, etc., etc. And like the next day, Odin sent someone to give me some information that I really needed to know about the runes, right? And she was explaining to me how there's a proper system to learning the runes, and how, like, this lady that I was speaking to, she had been a priestess of one of the Norse goddesses for, like, since she was 7, and she's, like, I think in her 40s or something like that. And she still doesn't have approval by the gods that she serves to do to work with the runes, right? And so it was basically like I prayed to Odin for guidance, and he sent very next day. He sent guidance of basically telling me to slow my roll and that I'm not ready for those yet. So like I have them. I haven't even used these because I haven't, for several reasons. But the main reason is I haven't gone about seeking someone who really knows them and can show me the proper way of using them so I can get approval from the gods basically to use them. Now I know not everybody's gonna agree with that story. Some people are gonna be like, "Oh, I've been using runes for years and I didn't have any certain specific way that I did it." That's fine. That's your path. My path through life, I have to do things the right way, right? I have to do things the traditional way. So that's my path. If your path is different, do what you do. But mine is that I have to do it the traditional way, learn it the proper way. I have to get approval, stuff like that. So, but had I not prayed and asked Odin for guidance, I would have just picked these runes up, done whatever little cleansing ritual that I thought I was going to do, and gone and started using them. And who knows what would have happened? You know, I don't know if I would have been able to properly connect with any of the Norse deities through that. I don't know. I don't know if it would have been a trickster spirit speaking to me through it. I don't know. You know, but the point is, if you are looking to practice divination yourself, find guidance. I don't care if you're using tarot cards. I don't care if you're using runes. I don't care if you're using what. I don't care what it is. Find someone, do your research. Find someone who can show you the proper way of going about this. Because again, these divination systems are not a game. They're not toys. They are actual tools that are used to communicate with actual spirits. And you do not want to be communicating because you don't know what you're doing. You don't want to be communicating with the wrong spirit, right? You don't want to be communicating thinking you're talking to Odin or whoever, and you're actually talking to some random trickster spirit, you know. So get the guidance, do things the proper way, find someone who can instruct you. So I just think that's an important thing to make note of. Um, But yeah, but I am going to end this video because it is getting rather long. It has been long, I guess. But that's just kind of a little, again, very brief breakdown of divination, what it is, what it's not. So if you guys have any questions, if you have any comments, if you feel like I missed anything, if you know something about divination, or if you feel like I am off base with this, fine. Leave comments and just let me know, and we can engage that way. So you guys have a great day and look forward to more videos soon. Like and subscribe and share so that we can build this community and more people can learn and we can all grow together. All right, you guys have a great day.